Good morning. This is Vinita Shetty. I'm the convener of Placemaking India, and it's such a pleasure to be able to share some of our learnings on street markets with the Indian Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs to PM Swanidhi in anticipation of 100 street food markets. It's my pleasure to introduce today Steve Davies, who is co-founder of Project for Public Spaces and directed its public market program for over 20 years. He formed Place Solutions Group in 2018, and his work takes him around the world as a consultant, facilitator, educator, researcher, and speaker. Much of his work as a consultant today focuses on public markets, their role in building community, and how placemaking supports local economies. As a sustaining member of the Market Cities Network, he advocates for stronger market policies worldwide. He also currently serves as president of the Placemaking Fund. This is a global nonprofit that supports two operating programs to advance placemaking as a global movement. Placemaking X, of which Placemaking India is an affiliate, and the Social Life Project. So over to you, Steve.
Thank you so much. And thank you for this opportunity to talk to you about creating successful street food markets. Based on my years of experience, I'll be sharing some of the lessons I've learned in making successful markets that lead to truly transformative change in cities. As you know, markets are part of almost every culture and reflect the foods and traditions of the cities and regions where they are located. A market in South America is very different from one in Mumbai, but they are really built of a set of basics that are really remarkably similar. Recent research shows that street food markets are an increasingly popular form of public markets, with 1 in 4 consumers globally saying that they regularly consume street food in the past year. People go because of the enjoyment of the experience as well as the value for the money. Here's our book, Public Markets and Community Revitalization, published in 1994. In the book, we describe how public markets can have broader community impacts. And we define public markets as markets that have public goals and purposes, operate in public spaces that are open and accessible to all, and serve locally owned and operated businesses. So the three of these characteristics are what we define as a public market. Street food markets are one type of public market, and they come in several different forms. This chart shows that street food markets can be informal and unregulated clusters of street vendors with minimal infrastructure. There are lots of examples across the world of these. I call these types of clusters naturally occurring markets because they have characteristics of formal markets, but they are not formally organized. More formal and regulated markets include clusters of cluster or hubs, as we call them, of food trucks, formal regulated vending zones, as you have in India, and various forms of public markets. We'll focus on formal markets today because these are the ones that are the most likely to have a broader public impact. Markets can take many physical forms. Most street food markets today are open-air markets, like Smorgasburg in New York City, that operates in public spaces and parks around New York City. Because vendors operate with portable tents, these markets have the most flexibility and adaptability to different sites and locations. A new popular trend in the United States, at least, are night markets, which have a long tradition in Asia. These night markets feature a mix of products but are anchored by the prepared food vendors. Here's a night market that operates in the most ethnically diverse borough in New York City, Queens, where residents are said to speak 190 different languages. It's pretty amazing. And this market gives an opportunity to highlight all these incredible food traditions from around the world. Trucks, carts, kiosks, other kinds of physical structures enable an open air market to operate even in poor weather and enable vendors to operate with higher standards of food safety. Here's a food cart hub in Portland, Oregon that operates on a privately owned vacant lot that also provides a seating space for customers. It provides more permanent infrastructure than the open air market example that I showed earlier. And this market it operates daily and has a long-term lease with the owner of the space. Here's a market in not far from where I live in Brooklyn. It started out as an informal market of street vendors and evolved into food trucks when the city required the vendors to get better infrastructure to improve food safety at the market. So markets can evolve from one form to another. Street Eats was a project in downtown Detroit where we created, our goal was to activate this plaza space with 15 local food and restaurant vendors. We designed inexpensive small structures we called huts that vendors could rent by the week. The program was so successful that vendors transitioned to food trucks that had higher levels of cooking facilities, and many have gone on to creating successful new restaurants in brick and mortar buildings. So the next form we have are indoor markets. These are markets that are inside permanent buildings and they're open year round, and they have a very high level of infrastructure, both for the market and the vendors. In Singapore, the government has had a major program to create indoor hawker markets where street vendors who used to operate outside on the streets now sell a wide variety of ethnic foods in these very, very popular neighborhood destinations. Here's another example. In London, a private developer converted an industrial building into a market of exclusively prepared food vendors. The market has permanent seating areas, high levels of infrastructure. You can see on the slide on the right, there's like a service corridor with refrigeration and other cooking facilities. And there's even a kitchen for community cooking demonstrations and classes. So next, I'd like to discuss the potential benefits of street food markets to communities. It's important to emphasize that markets can be intentionally planned and developed specifically to achieve local public goals. So let's discuss some of those. Here's a chart we use to describe the benefits of public markets. They're shown on the inner ring of the diagram right after it says public market benefits. They include things like create engaging public spaces, foster social cohesion, revitalize regional economy, promote entrepreneurship and innovation, et cetera, et cetera. It was developed by the Market Cities network, of which I'm a sustaining member, because markets are not often recognized for the benefits they bring to cities. These benefits can be amplified when markets in a city work together. So this chart shows that the collective impact of markets in a city, the markets in a city or region can address these main challenges these three main challenges that cities face. Social connections and well-being, inclusive and diverse economies, and climate action and resilience. These goals, incidentally, align perfectly with the UN Sustainable Development Goals shown on the left. So of these three main goals, let's start with creating engaging public spaces. Wayne H. White, a noted public space advocate and researcher, wrote that if you want to seed a place with activity, put out food. That is why we create a new street food market in Harvard University. It's in the middle of the campus, and it's intended to bring people together from different departments and schools in the university who did not have an opportunity to or a place to meet and interact. Here's a market I helped develop in Iowa, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Market vendors who mostly sell prepared foods operate indoors in the building shown at right. But the activity in the public space outside the market helps to attract customers and make the market a dynamic community destination. So when the market is more than just a market, where it's actually a community destination, it helps the vendors and it helps the community. Street food markets also create social cohesion and bring diverse people together. A study of markets in London shows that when a customer and vendor make a financial transaction, the process of making the financial financial transaction, it helps break down barriers. As one vendor put it, trade is a thing that forces you to know your fellow people. And that's why it's sometimes beautiful, as otherwise people wouldn't interact with me in the same way. In 2005, we conducted research in 10 US markets serving low-income communities. The research was sponsored by the Ford Foundation. We asked customers what the benefit of the market was to the community. It was an open-ended question on the survey, and the number one answer was bring people together. Here's one of the markets we studied, and you can see the percentage of customers and vendors serving different ethnic backgrounds are very similar, showing that a diversity of vendors draws a diversity of customers. A third benefit of street food market is that they support neighborhood economic activity. They do this in two ways. They draw more people to a commercial area and act as a neighborhood anchor. But what we have found that the layout of the market matters in terms of how they support permanent businesses. When vendors face storefronts, as you can see on the picture on the left, the vendors are set up so they face the storefronts. This helps both the vendors and the businesses. In the slide on the right, the vendors turn their back to the storefronts, and while this still is drawing people to the street, it tends to make the stores less accessible. Number 5, markets provide opportunities for people to start businesses at very low cost. I love this picture of a businessman in Michigan who won a contest in the city, Flint, Michigan, where he's located. He had won the contest for the best barbecue contest 5 years in a row. And so he jumped at the chance to make his business permanent in a market when there was space available for him. In the Ford Foundation study, we discovered that most vendors actually spent less than $1,000 US, which is probably $1,500 in today's dollars. This is very inexpensive in terms of US comparables to start a permanent business in a storefront, for example. And most of the vendors were able to use their personal savings to create these businesses. So these street food markets are very much entrepreneurial opportunities to grow businesses and to start up businesses at low cost. And many vendors just do this without much assistance. But in Portland, Oregon, there's a Mercado that provides training and technical assistance to vendors starting these local food businesses, teaching them everything from food safety to pricing to customer service. And this enables vendors to be more successful. Tomorrow's Market is a program of the Mayor of London. And this program lowers barriers to entry for new market traders to start and grow their businesses. The issue in London is that existing market traders are retiring. So this program helps assure that there'll be an ample supply of new market traders in the future. Lastly, markets promote health. The picture on the right shows that a street was painted with so that the market could operate with social distancing during the pandemic. This is in Hanoi, where they have something like 300 markets in the center area. Street food markets can promote healthy eating by encouraging vendors to use fresh local ingredients. This also helps to preserve local food cultures at the same time. Food safety is a critical challenge for street food markets. In Quito, Ecuador, informal vendors were selling unsafe food in a neighborhood park. The city decided to partner with the vendors to provide them with new carts and an off-site storage location at night where the carts could be cleaned every day. You can see the new stainless steel carts in the slide on the bottom. They also trained vendors in food safety practices, and they upgraded the park itself to be cleaner and more attractive. Here's a proposal for a street food market in Bangalore. The design of the street designates as a pedestrian-only zone in the evening with wider footpaths and infrastructure designed for easy maintenance and access. This will improve food safety as well. So in closing, I want to summarize some of the ingredients of successful food markets. First, successful markets have clear goals and mission. They communicate these goals to the customers. People understand that when they shop at the market with broader public goals, they are helping their communities. Each vendor is a draw to the market. Vendors of mix is really, really critical. Having a diversity of vendors, sometimes even vendors competing with each other, selling similar products, gives customers more choice. More people want to explore a street market with lots of choices because they will come back and try something new. Successful markets also help vendors improve and grow their businesses so things keep getting better and better. The location and design of the market really matters. This is something I work on a lot of my projects, picking the right location and making sure that there's lots of places for people to sit and enjoy the experience, with a space for community programming and events and activities that draw people for more than just the market. And as with any kind of public space, management is critical to its success. Here's a market in Queens, New York. This was a naturally occurring market that started during the pandemic, where Latino vendors, mainly women, needed new sources of income to support their families. The city closed down the market vendors in 2023, but the vendors were able to reopen after they organized a formal marketplace led by a cooperative association. But there are many other forms that market management can take, as this list shows. We like to say that 80% of the success of a market is management. Management brings it all together. It makes the street food market work for the customer and the vendors, and while also creating positive change for the community. So thank you again for inviting me to present to you today. I'd like to add that your work in developing 100 street food markets is something the Market Cities Network will be following very closely. I personally would be very interested in helping support any pilot efforts you have or answering any questions you may have as well. Here is my email address. We hope that you can create more awareness about street food markets and how they can lead to transformative change in communities. I hope you have a successful meeting and wish you the best of luck with your project. Thank you.